Today, my story, it's something scary. In the heart of a forgotten town, shrouded in mist and mystery, stood an old Victorian house known as the Holloway Manor. The townsfolk spoke of it in hushed tones, warning children to steer clear of its decaying walls and overgrown gardens. They said it was haunted, cursed even, a place where shadows danced and whispers echoed through the halls. But for a group of adventurous teenagers, the allure of the unknown was too strong to resist. One chilly October evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting an eerie glow over the landscape, for friends Emily, Jake, Sarah, and Tom decided to explore the infamous Holloway Manor. Armed with flashlights and bravado, they approached the towering structure, its windows like dark eyes watching their every move. As they stepped inside, the air turned cold, and a musty smell enveloped them. The wooden floorboards creaked underfoot, as if warning them to turn back. But the thrill of adventure pushed them deeper into the house. They wandered through the dimly lit rooms, their beams of light revealing faded wallpaper and dust-covered furniture. Each room seemed to tell a story, but the stories were not welcoming. In the parlor, they found an old piano, its keys yellowed with age. Jake, ever the jokester, sat down and began to play a haunting melody. The sound echoed through the empty halls, and for a moment it felt as if the house itself was alive, responding to the music. But then a chilling breeze swept through the room, extinguishing their flashlights and plunging them into darkness. Panic set in as they fumbled to turn their lights back on. When they finally succeeded, they were met with a sight that froze. Their blood. In the corner of the room stood a figure, shrouded in shadows, its face obscured. It was a woman, her long hair cascading down her back, wearing a tattered white dress that seemed to flutter despite the stillness of the air. "Leave this place," she whispered, her voice like the rustling of leaves. "You do not belong here." The friends exchanged terrified glances, but before they could react, the figure vanished, leaving only a lingering chill in the air. They bolted from the parlor, their hearts racing, and stumbled into the hallway, where they were met with more unsettling sights. Portraits hung on the walls, their subjects' eyes following the group as they moved. The air thickened with an oppressive weight, and a sense of dread settled over them. "Maybe we should go," Sarah suggested, her voice trembling. But Jake, fueled by adrenaline, insisted they explore further. "What if there's treasure?" he argued, trying to mask his own fear. They ventured upstairs, where the atmosphere grew heavier. The wallpaper peeled away, revealing dark stains beneath, as if the walls themselves were bleeding. In one of the bedrooms, they discovered a diary, its pages yellowed and brittle. It belonged to a girl named Clara, who had lived in the house over a century ago. The entries spoke of despair, of a family torn apart by tragedy and a darkness that consumed them as they read. The temperature dropped even further, and a low growl echoed from the shadows. The friends exchanged terrified looks, realizing they were not alone. They hurriedly left the room, but the growling followed them, growing louder and more menacing. It was as if the house itself was alive, angry at their intrusion. In their frantic escape, they stumbled into a room filled with mirrors. Each reflection showed not just their terrified faces, but also glimpses of the Pastor family gathered around a table. A woman crying, and a shadowy figure lurking in the corner. The mirrors warped their images, twisting them into grotesque versions of themselves. "Get out!" Emily screamed, her voice breaking. They turned to flee, but the door slammed shut, trapping them inside. The growling intensified, and the shadows began to close in, swirling round them like a storm. Just when it seemed all hope was lost, Tom remembered the diary. "Clara," he shouted, hoping to connect with the spirit. "We're not here to hurt you. We want to help." The growling ceased, and a silence fell over the room. The shadows receded slightly, revealing the figure of Clara, her face now visible. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she looked at them, her expression a mix of sorrow and longing. "Help me find peace," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I am trapped here, bound by the pain of my past." Understanding dawned on the friends. They needed to confront the darkness that had consumed Clara and her family. They gathered their courage and began to speak, sharing stories of hope, love, and forgiveness. As they did, the atmosphere shifted, the oppressive weight lifting slightly. With each word, Clara's form became clearer, her sorrowful expression transforming into one of relief. The mirrors began to shimmer, reflecting light instead of darkness. The growling faded into a soft hum, and the door creaked open, inviting them to leave. "Thank you," Clara said, her voice now filled with warmth. "You have freed me." As they stepped out of the house, the first rays of dawn broke through, the mist illuminating the path ahead. The Holloway Manor stood silent behind them, its dark history now a little lighter. The friends knew they had faced something truly terrifying, but they had also discovered the power of compassion and understanding. From that day on, the townsfolk spoke of the Holloway Manor not just as a haunted house, but as a place of healing, where the echoes of the past could finally rest in peace. And the four friends, forever changed by their experience, carried the memory of Clara with them, a reminder that even in the darkest places, light could still shine through. That was the end of our story. Goodbye.